All right, ladies and gents, we should be live right now. Hopefully, everybody's having a great Thursday morning. It is the 12th of August. We are here to cover the big day slate for Thursday. This is the only slate that's going to be covered for the day. We have an odd start time and a very small slate at night. There's a weird afternoon slate. So, this is today's slate. We're going to video together. So, hopefully, everybody enjoys that. And then Mr. Bellman will get to work on the write up. And hopefully, everybody wins big today. Hopefully, we get another Lewis Brinson performance.
Yeah, Brinson, wow. He wasn't just yesterday. He's really started to turn around his career. Turn around his season. I don't want to say his career, but man, I don't know if you paid attention last night, but the Red Sox went absolutely all the way off. Francisco Mejia pitched the eighth, just like added on to the assault that they were laying. Yeah, if you didn't use Boston last night, and they weren't even popular, but 10% owned like that, whenever most of their guys get 25 plus, it's hard to come back from that.
Probably needed Corbin Burns to go along with it, too.
Yeah, you needed Corbin Burns also, who was just freaking amazing.
Yeah, he was dominant last night. Now let's do this little, not very stiff competition against the current Chicago Cubs team, but had all 5 pitches were working last night. I was watching the game during the 10 strikeouts in a row. He gave up 4 hits, but like 3 of them were just those lucky, little choppers into the ground that just happened to get beat out.
For me, I wasn't watching it, but I saw it through 6. He had 8 or 9 strikeouts, whatever, and he only had thrown 50 some pitches.
Yes,
that's crazy.
The flip side of that too would be Adam Wainwright throwing a complete game shutout in 84 pitches, which is some Greg Maddux stuff right there.
Man, Wainwright, I was a little bit off of him because of the road start, but he's really kind of this is one of the best years of his career.
Yeah, he's having a really, really nice season. Nice bounce back year for him. As the last, 5 years have not been great, but he's been really good this year. So we're going to hop into today's slate here now. I do want to bring up that for the next 8 days, the NFL package is on sale. That gets the full season of NFL, all 17 regular season weeks, the playoffs and everything like that. We don't do anything for preseason, but it's only $99. Every write-up, every video, it's all there for you. Welcome aboard to all the new customers on that yesterday. We hope to see a few more of you today.
Yeah, let's get it, man. I'm really excited for NFL. We got MLB to crush until then. And I will say, man, this is just, I don't want to hype you up too much, but coming off the Bucks title, I think the Brewers are so live to come out of the NL. I mean, obviously, we talk about the Dodgers and baseball, anything can happen, but got to really, really like what the Brewers are doing now.
Absolutely. On paper, there's no question, though. The Dodgers are the better team. They're the more potent offense. Their pitching staffs, Milwaukee and Dodgers are right there as the 1-2 as far as pitching staff goes. But Milwaukee is very top heavy and set up for 3 really good starters in the playoffs. They don't have a lot of playoff experience, though. So it does, you like to see it first, right?
I will say, before adding Scherzer, easy to think that Milwaukee has the better staff. Now, it's not as easy, right? Because you add Max Scherzer, and we both love Scherzer. It's hard to tell with the Dodgers, though. What's up with Kershaw? Is he going to pitch again? Is Bauer ever going to come back? Man, on paper, the Dodgers are the better team, but, it's close enough. And on paper doesn't mean everything in baseball anyways. So, you got to really feel good about running out Burns, Peralta, and Woodruff.
Absolutely. Baseball and basketball are so different in the sense that if you get a heavy favorite in basketball, it is a borderline lock. A heavy favorite in baseball means almost nothing.
Yeah, a heavy favorite in basketball is winning, almost all of the time. In baseball, it's just not.
Yeah, the KD Warriors for those couple of seasons, that was just, it really had to be injuries could be the only thing that could derail them. The best team in baseball, I would honestly say, doesn't win most of the time.
Agreed. I mean, because it's so much of a crapshoot.
Yeah, and the Dodgers are the best paper team in baseball, no doubt about it. They're really, really good, but I mean, anybody can come out of the NL. Even in one of the teams that comes out of the NL East, whoever that is, who is not the best, clearly not the best, they could easily win and end up in the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, we sleep on the Giants all the time because they don't have the names, but they could come out. It's baseball's so fun. I love it. So I'm loving being on here with you. Let's talk out this slate.
All right, so I had to highlight all these games and take out the Washington Mets game. There's some to air on DraftKings this morning that has all of the pitchers from Washington and New York, which it's super annoying.
Because they probably don't have a listed starter yet. I hate when they do that. It's so annoying.
Yeah, exactly. Just take them all off. Don't put them all in there. So before we get into individual games, I wanted to just bring up everybody. Pitching today for me is easy. I don't like the options, with the exception, I think there's three guys in play for me. The two guys up top, Woodruff and Bassett, I like them about the same. And then Marco Gonzalez if you're trying to go cheaper. I don't like anybody else. Tell me what you're thinking.
Well, I'm worried that the weather in Cleveland is going to make Bassett out of play. I mean, it's like gray this morning. It wasn't good last night. I don't know. I could be wrong, and it could just clear out, and the game could be fine. But with no weather reports, I am a little bit, man, because the weather's not good here.
Well, that is definitely something to be worried about. And we've been waiting on the weather this morning with no results. And we'll check back later. Might be okay, might not be. So let's just watch and see.
Yeah, let's just watch and see. We have no idea. If it plays, I think that you're 100% right. Like, those two guys are the top guys by a good amount. 100% with you. And then, yeah, Marco Gonzalez looks like the guy that you'd want to spend down on.
So we respect Marco. He had a bad start to the year, but over the past month has consistently been a lot better. I heard a rumor the other day. Let me know if you think this is true, but turns out the Rangers, not a very good baseball team.
No, they are not. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Nothing's changed right there. So Marco at 6,700, great matchup, solid ballpark, pitching better. I think he's very accurately priced at 6,700, and I expect about 15 points here.
I got to imagine he gets a lot of love, and I only say that because last night we had a slate with Burns, Gaussman, and I can't even remember who else was on there, but a couple other good arms. And Tyler Anderson was one of the most popular pitchers on the slate simply because of his matchup.
People know the Rangers are not good. You're not sneaking up on anybody at this point of the year, so you're right. Marco Gonzalez should get plenty of love. Again, I expect him to come in, give you 12 to 20 points, 15 points, somewhere in that ballpark. It's a solid price or a solid score up at 6,700. And if you want better bats, or if Bassett becomes out of play, or if Woodruff's out of play, I don't know what the weather's like in Chicago either.
Okay, so I'm with you on pitching here. Like, those are the three guys I'm looking at. But two other guys that, might end up having to look at or kind of on the outside looking in are Hendricks and Tanner Houck. Like, I don't love them here, but especially like if Bassett is out of play, those are two guys I'll be looking at.
Okay, because I'll take Woodruff over Hendricks easy, because then they're playing the same game, so weather would affect them the same. But you're right, like if Bassett's out, then you kind of have to start looking at something like that. And I'm not excited about it. John Means was great to start the year. I guess I would kind of throw him ish in that Kyle Hendricks category.
Definitely. I think I prefer Hendricks, but I think Means is right there. And Tanner Houck also, you don't love his leash, and I probably prefer Hendricks, but I don't know. I mean, we know Tampa can strike out if nothing else.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully weather's not a big deal, and we'll go from there. So let's break it down to individual games as far as offense goes. Let me click off all these real quick. Get your game together, DraftKings. Come on now.
Yeah. God, I hate these slates too, where the games start so much later than each other during the day, but it is what it is.
Well, could be benefits though. Like yesterday, the Marlins were a team I was looking at closely without their starting lineup. Like I knew that would really decrease their love. Now San Diego, I also kind of liked a little bit, and they took the shutout, so it can be good and bad, right?
Yeah, Marlins were real long owned. I think that was a byproduct of one, like you said, their lineup was out, and two, like you had to literally leave salary on the board to stack the Marlins.
Yeah, that's kind of where I ended up. Like, so we put Brinson in the write-up as like a hard recommend, and then I think the other things I said was like whoever's in their lineup, go for it. I just don't always know who that's going to be. I liked Rojas over Tim Anderson at like much lower ownership, and then Anderson didn't even play.
Yeah. One thing I'm going to say, like, just because we're talking about this, Ryan Weathers, man, you got to love, like, he has not been good the past three starts at all, but the Padres, like, let him pitch, which is so good for an opposing stack. Like, man, he pitched almost, 5 innings yesterday. He got a bunch of Ks, but he was getting hit the whole time. It was amazing for the stack.
Agreed. All right. So as far as Washington, New York goes, we're just going to leave this game alone for right now. One, East Coast weather, but two, we don't even know who they're going up against, so it's hard to want to know what to do with it.
Yeah, we have no idea. We don't know who's pitching.
Also a 7-inning game.
Yeah, so I guess the only thing that would be like in play would be Stroman for me if he were pitching.
Sure. I got you. That makes sense. All right. Let's move over to St. Louis, Pittsburgh. We got Brubaker against Wade LeBlanc. Couple of aces on the hill today. Nope. Bad ballpark for hitting. I don't really love Wade LeBlanc. I'm certainly not trying to throw him, but I also have no love for Pittsburgh, so certainly not trying to get to them.
No, it's the same story with Pittsburgh. Like one-offs. I mentioned Hoyt Park, Brian Hayes, Brian Reynolds. That'll do it. More interested in the St. Louis side, like if they're not getting love.
Yeah, and I don't think Brubaker's garbage.
No.
So I'm not like lining up the stack against him, but what we see from Brubaker throughout the year is when he's off, i.e. last start, he
Yes.
gets hit really hard. So I'm rarely excited by the Cardinals, but I could see a day like if you just have that feeling going all in on him. And on top of that, I don't think Nolan Arenado gets a ton of love today. And it's a small sample size, but he has extra base hits in like half of his at-bats against Brubaker.
Gotta like that, and he's pretty affordable too. So yeah, I mean, I'm about it. Other than that, though, like I wouldn't be surprised at all if these teams are probably getting a little too much love, and I just don't use anything from it.
Sure,
Like
and the Cardinals outfield is so affordable all the time.
if I'm predicting it now, I definitely predict that they're going to be over, not under.
Fair enough, and that will keep you off of them for sure. Next up, we got the Dodgers, as we discussed for a little while in the beginning, and that really, really good lineup of theirs taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Looks like we got a couple of openers today, so it's going to be a hodgepodge of bullpen games. I know you hate bullpen games. See the Ryan Weathers conversation, but the Dodgers are pretty good.
Yeah, the Dodgers are good, and the Phillies have a bad bullpen. So, man, brought him up. I think whenever we made the video last, Cody Bellinger, another 2 homers yesterday. Like, I'm interested for sure.
4,400. Maybe he gets lower love today because I believe he's matched up with a lefty, but that won't be for much of the game because I think Suarez only goes a couple innings. That's an interesting play. Very affordable for the upside. And, we just kind of talked about my Brewers, but for the Dodgers point, man, do you get lethal if all of a sudden Bellinger's vibing come playoff time?
Yeah, exactly. Because this isn't just some another guy. This is a former MVP. So yeah, I'm feeling it. I could definitely get on board with the Dodgers, and I could see using a couple pieces from the Phillies also. Bryce Harper, if you want to get there. But it's a big slate.
Dodgers are big, big, big bucks, so you're going to have to use Marco if you want to get there.
That will keep their ownership down. Unlike St. Louis, who's going to get more love. Like I was talking about this yesterday. Like St. Louis is going to be more popular because you can easily fit them. The opposite with the Dodgers. Now you're having to really sell out for them, but I love that with good offenses.
Yeah, the Dodgers have a very good offense. Just really think about the names. Like when A.J. Pollock, who is not what he once was, is like your 8th best hitter, you're a really good offense.
He's been hitting like over 400 for the past month also. So yeah, he's been you're right. Like he's been solid. And that just the point is that when they're fully healthy, he's like their extra outfielder.
No doubt about it. That's where, again, we kind of talk about the nuances of baseball, and the best team doesn't always win because throughout 162 regular season games, an offense like this goes off all the time. But if you have to go up against a good pitching staff that can neutralize it, that's just how playoff baseball is so different. I heard they were looking at expanding the playoffs to 16 games. I don't like that.
No, I don't like that either. I like how it is now, for sure. And I'll just say this about the Dodgers because we talk about this a lot. They're a lot like Toronto when they're priced up like this. Like these guys have massive upside, and now you add Trey Turner to their lineup. Toronto and the Dodgers are very comparable.
It's a hell of a lineup, right? No, that is potent to say the very least.
Add Trey Turner, who's you have to be so good to just get traded to the Dodgers and be their new leadoff hitter with how good they are. You know what I mean? Like, how good are you where you just come over to this lineup and you're their leadoff hitter?
They're good. They are real good. So, okay, Oakland, Cleveland, again, doesn't look like major weather concerns per this, but I would want to use something a little bit more reliable to gauge my final decision on that one.
I will say it was like a tornado yesterday during the day, and the game still played fine after a delay. So that might be what we're seeing now, where it's really gray this morning and then it gets better. I'm not interested in Cleveland. I do have some interest in Oakland, though, depending on ownership.
Yeah, for sure. That's the one I would. Again, we've been talking about Oakland a lot lately when we haven't been able to make these videos together. They're a bit pricey again, which can talk you out of them, at least a few of their pieces, specifically like Marte and Matt Olson. But they're a good offense. And they only got really 2 expensive pieces because you can complement them with an Andrews. Kanye's affordable. Whoever else might make the lineup today, obviously with Laureano out, you don't get to use him. But they are an interesting team today. And if they're low owned against Eli Morgan, who's okay but not good, I get it.
Yes, sir.
Milwaukee against Chicago. This one's going to be all about the pitchers for me, unless I find out the wind's blowing out 20 miles an hour or something like that. As far as the Brewers bats, definitely not trying to make them a priority. Coming off of a nice night last night, if you want to one-off like a Narvaez if he happens to make the lineup, which a good chance he doesn't. Otherwise, Colton Wong has big numbers off of Kyle Hendricks, and coming off a night with back-to-back doubles, he's fine. But most of this game's about the pitching for me.
Yeah, I respect Hendricks enough where I'm not looking at Milwaukee. Like I don't hate it, but it's not for me. I'm much more likely to use Hendricks on this slate given the pitching options.
Yeah, I probably won't use Hendricks, but I'm not looking for Milwaukee bats here. All right, so next up, Detroit against Baltimore. So one of my favorite plays of the day, and he's on the covers, you can see. We rode this guy real hard last year when he was red hot like this. That's Anthony Santander coming off 3 straight big games. 2,600 matched up with one of the worst pitchers on the slate. Like this to me is just like a cap space, plug and play type of play. Is he going to get you 20s again? Probably not, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did because this guy's a streaky hitter who's on the top of his game right now. And the best part is he's 2,600.
Yeah, he's a cash game lock, and I think you just plug and play him. I will say, just looking at that, Baltimore's going to be the chalk. I mean, definitely. Matt Manning sucks. They're cheap as hell. They've been good. Baltimore's going to be really, really popular.
Yeah, they are very affordable. I like them better than St. Louis. Now, if they're uber chalk, then it's difficult to want to end up there in cash games. But
right.
Other than Mancini and Mullins, they are super cheap.
Yep. And like you mentioned, Santander looks like the best value player, the best value hitter on the board.
Yeah, no questions about it. So we like Santander too. You guys can remember us talking about him nonstop last year. So this isn't just some out of nowhere scrub for 2,600. No. This is a guy with big power. He just had a bad year.
Oh man, I was watching like a mic'd up with Santander yesterday, and it got me hyped. So this is perfect timing.
Awesome. All right, moving on down the list. Although, we didn't bring up Detroit, but I'm not really trying to pick on John Means here.
I don't hate it. Like Detroit's just been, I don't like John Means at all, really. So I guess that means I could use a couple pieces for Detroit. I mean, Miguel Cabrera sitting on 499 home runs, homered last night. I don't hate it at 3,400. But again, I'm with you. Like, I'm probably not going to use Detroit here.
I look at Detroit a lot like I look at the Brewers. As like,
fair enough. Well, because Hendricks and Means are on the same plane today.
Yeah, basically. And even though the Brewers are a much better team than Detroit, their offenses aren't far apart.
No, Detroit's been good. I mean, they haven't been like great over the past like month or month and a half, but they've been, like you've said, mediocre to good.
All right, Tampa Bay against Boston. Big runs in this game last night. You already mentioned Boston. Then didn't Tampa put up like 8 in the ninth or something?
Yeah, they put up 7 in the ninth. So for sure, big runs there.
Okay. Offenses today. Taking a look against Hawk, against kind of a bullpen game for Tampa Bay. I'm not trying to like run chase from last night. I don't think these are bad offensive plays, but I'm not just looking at last night's game thinking, I got to end up here. Obviously, these two teams are pretty good, but they aren't shortlisted for me.
Yeah, I'm with that
100%. Any individual plays you enjoy from this game?
I don't know. Houck's been good. Man, I feel like I respect Tampa's bullpen. I mean, not really. I don't know.
Not really here either.
Yeah, I'm just not really here.
Like, you want a one-off like on a Rosarina? It's kind of like to me like Colton Wong, like in the sense that like I'm not trying to stack this team, but as a one-off in a mediocre price range, okay. He's been back a couple days now. He's had doubles in each game after being out for a week. He had been hot before that. He's only 4,400. Like, okay, fine, cool. I like a Rosarina as a player. He runs the bases. He hits home runs, but not a priority or anything.
Yeah, I'm with that. I will say, if I had to pick a side, I do think that it would be the Boston side over the Tampa side.
I agree with that. Okay, last game, Marco against Fulte. So I kind of liked Seattle 11 days ago when they took on Fultonevich in this day game, and he had been giving up home runs like he was getting, somebody had adopted or stolen his daughter or a dog or something, and he needed to give up home runs to get him back. Well, he's been better his last 2 starts. Still walking guys, but not giving up hits. Makes me less excited about Seattle, but if I were to end up on anything this game, it would be the Seattle offense.
Yeah, it would definitely be the Seattle offense for me also. I could see using them as like a pivot off of a chalky Baltimore. I mean, I'm sure they get love too, but not everyone can get a ton of love. So I could see using Seattle here for sure.
Yeah, am I excited about it? No, but I don't know. Like they have Mitch Haniger's having a nice year. Toro is a guy that he's down to only second face eligibility, but I could see using him at 3,800. He makes a little bit of sense. Maybe like a Kyle Seager at 4,400, but still not super excited about any of it.
No, not super excited about it. Yeah, I think the only team that like gets is Baltimore, and their ownership's going to be crazy. I feel like.
I think it's going to be pretty high too, which brings me back to potentially Oakland, assuming that this game plays out well, or using just a couple of real cheap pieces from Baltimore, getting down to Marco Gonzalez and loading up on the Dodgers, because as we've mentioned, they'd be good.
I do think the Dodgers are going to be like very underowned here. You're right.
So that's for me. I guess if I was making one lineup today, I would decide who my favorite guy was, Woodruff or Bassett, and it's close. Might depend on what lineups look like and weather and everything like that. But using one of the elite starters, throwing in Marco Gonzalez.
Who do you like more, Bassett or Woodruff?
I mean, it depends on weather and what the lineups look like. It's close for me. It's really close. I don't really have a specific favorite right now. I'd probably look at the Cubs and the Indians lineup when they came out. And if all of a sudden like J-Ram took the day off, I'd probably like Bassett just a little bit more. So it's a close call.
Yeah, it's definitely a close call. I'm with you there.
Woodruff has dominated the Cubs. You know, part of last night was Burns was amazing. The other part of it was the Cubs lineup is terrible right now. So there is that. But I'll watch weather and make my decision from there. So I kind of mentioned, take a look at the Dodgers.
I will say, like, as a pitcher, I respect Woodruff a little more than Burns. But as far as their stuff and upside goes, like Burns is higher. He just has better strikeout stuff for DFS.
You heard in the beginning of the year when Burns was locked in for the first 6 or 7 starts or whatever it was, opposing batters were coming up saying that's the best stuff in baseball. And then he hit a little bit of a wall, right? Like, He wasn't as dominant. His location went from perfect to.
This was his first start, I feel like, since that beginning where he was like dominant like that. Maybe I'm wrong there, but it seems
I think he had one against Arizona, which once again was like picking on a bad team.
Yes, I remember that now.
Yeah, but they've been few and far between. It was just all working last night. When you have 5 pitches as a major league pitcher, and all 5 of them are pretty good, rarely do they all work on the same day. They were all working last night. That's rare.
Rare when you get a nice matchup like that and you can put it together. It paid off.
So, okay. Final thoughts. Again, Baltimore will be popular, but as we mentioned, we think the Dodgers will be a little bit underowned today.
It has to be.
You take a couple of these cheaper, Baltimore pieces. Like let's say you can get let's say DJ Stewart's in the lineup today and you get him in your lineup. Well, now you got Santander, you got Stewart, you use a cheap catcher, and now you can start making Dodger priorities. Maybe you go Mancini over Max Muncy. You throw Trey Turner in there. You don't have to worry about bet salary today. Turner might be out, so you might have a cheaper guy right there.
Like even if you want to like do a full stack on the Dodgers, it's even hard with this. So they're going to be underowned. Like it's hard even like this. I mean, well, actually not really because Betts is out like you said, but Turner and Muncy are expensive. I guess like Bellinger and the rest aren't really though. You'll probably have the cheap catcher Barnes. Yep.
And then you just, you pick and choose your spots. You can maybe get Seager right here. This Trey Turner kid, as we just talked about. Then you go over to the outfield, you get Bellinger, and now you can still easily roll with Muncy or Trey, Mancini, depending on whatever it is you want to do. And if Turner's in the lineup, I got Barnes, Turner, Seager. That's going to get confusing, and Bellinger with 3 pieces from Baltimore.
For sure. And I think you can, if you want to stay away from Baltimore, you can look at Seattle.
Exactly. In my mind, you're unchalky enough already with the Dodgers, but if you want to go really, really unchalky and flip the script with the Mariners versus Baltimore, that makes a lot of sense too.
Or if you just like Seattle more than Baltimore, because I could see that too.
Yeah, for sure. Baltimore's no lock. Santander's a lock for me, but the rest of the lineup isn't exciting for me at all. I just look at Santander as like that. Like you're playing NBA basketball today, and it's like a fill-in 4,500 point guard. You just run with it and worry about the rest of your lineup later. Santander could pull a 0 today, but I'm more worried at that price tag of him ruining the slate than I am of taking the 0. I think you could win tournaments today if he gives you a 0 with him.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Difference between baseball and basketball in that sense, but that's how I feel about it today.
Makes a lot of sense.
All right, guys. That's what we got for today. I wish everybody the best of luck, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.